I also don't believe in success. It always sounds like a myth.
That explains it, Jeff. Have you
I'm-
not seen The Secret? If you haven't seen The Secret and you don't believe in success, how is our podcast going to succeed?
That's, this entire time I hadn't taken The Secret into account.
The Secret.
That's my bad.
You
That's
smug motherfuckers. You're going to tell me I need to think myself a fucking Lamborghini?
I know people that for a brief amount of time swore by that dumbass book, and I'm pretty sure they're all like the opposite of successful. So, pretty sure some of them are in jail. So, I mean, good jobs, The Secret.
The Secret.
You really got them.
Success. Welcome to Absurdist Asylum. I am Jason, as always, joined by my co-host Jeff. Jeff, how are you today?
I can't believe you just put success and Absurdist Asylum in the same sentence without the word "not at all" ever.
So you're amazed. Hey,
that's
I'm
fantastic.
I'm thinking of The Secret right now.
I'm doing real great. That Friday the 13th game came out finally.
Have you played it?
Have I played it? What do you think I've been doing for the last 4 days?
I guess I'm misinformed. I thought I was only out on PC.
No, it's out on everything. I got it on PS4, and it's awesome. It's everything I had kind of hoped for, but it's also like super glitchy and the servers are shit. So it's not uncommon to have to wait like 10 minutes before you're able to actually start, and then it usually crashes. But whatever.
Yeah, I've seen some gameplay for it, and before we get too far into it, I just we're not a video game podcast, but I have seen some gameplay for it. It does look amazing, and I'm going to have to look for it. But we have something different to do here today. Jeff, you started us off great with the ICP movie Big Money Hustlers. Peter hit us from left field with...
Peter ruined both of our lives.
Fucking Shades of Grey.
Oh, God.
And it's my pick. And when I was picking this, I had a couple of things that I wanted, one thing that I did not want, and one thing that I was really hoping for. The two things that I wanted the movie to be from Netflix because our past two movies were from Amazon Prime. And I don't want Netflix to feel like we're, giving them the cold shoulder because I know Netflix is watching.
Yeah, our demographic literally is Netflix.
Because they're looking at us for lawsuits.
Yeah, every single
They're waiting
person.
for us to pick one of their movies.
Netflix, as its own entity, is our only listener.
The other thing that I did want is I wanted the movie to be good because... I wanted it to have the potential. I wanted it to have the potential to be good because the last two movies, one looked like it was going to be terrible and had the potential to be good. One we knew it was going to be terrible off the bat, and I didn't want that for my pick. The thing I did not want was for the movie to be too serious. I wasn't going to pick a drama or anything like that. That's just not our style. And the one thing I really hoped for is that Jeff hasn't seen this movie. So without further ado, my pick is 2006's Korean creature feature, The Host. Jeff, have you seen this?
So yes and no. I watched it once back in like probably 2011 or 2012, and I was wasted, so I don't remember it very much at all.
So you're gonna get the other half today. Cool.
And I've been actually meaning to rewatch this for a long time because I feel like I remember thinking like, oh yeah, I like The Host. The Host is great, but I can't like remember any part of it.
Nice.
So it'll be nice to.
Well, it's described as a comedy, drama, horror, and the trailer looked like it was a mix between Shaun of the Dead, Cloverfield, and Kung Fu Hustle. I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but that's just how it came across to me. It was the reason I picked it is because it had that comedy element to it. That almost made it look like a Kung Fu Hustle movie, not just because it's Asians. I'm not going to take a stab at the director's name because I'm going to butcher it. IMDb exists if that's what you want. But the IMDb page describes this film by saying, a monster emerges from Seoul's Han River, and it focuses its attention on attacking people. One victim's loving family does what it can to rescue her from its clutches. And it looks like it could almost have like a really like heartwarming family element to it, because everything about this movie talks about the girl's family, and something happens to this girl pretty early on in the movie. Jeff, you said you don't remember anything about it?
God, I don't even know if I watched the whole thing. Like, I remember I was either, see, this is what I can't remember. And this should give you insight into my life. I either had drank a lot and put it on to watch it and then don't remember it, possibly fell asleep or passed out during it, or I watched it when I had the flu. I honestly can't remember which. But either way, I don't remember very much. I remember them running on a thing, like by a drainage ditch or a boardwalk or something, and yep. That's pretty much it. I honestly, again, I don't even know if I had even watched the whole thing. So pretty much going into this blind.
Nice. Well, that makes me happy. Now, maybe one thing you can't answer about this, the trailer. The one of the reasons I was I wanted to pick this, hoping that it was in English. I'm sure there's some Korean subtitles, but do you remember this movie's mostly in English, right?
I remember it not being in English, but
okay. Well, the trailer was in English, so that was misleading.
But I have no idea. I
don't mind subtitles.
I'm trying to remember. I think it's in Korean, but there's like a dubbed version. I'm pretty sure.
That would make sense.
But I also used to drink a lot, and then when I wasn't drinking, I was getting the flu. So I don't know. What can I tell you?
Interesting correlation there. We won't delve too deep. Jeff, do you have any expectations or hopes for this movie?
Well, I remember for a long time telling people whenever they brought up The Host, I remember saying, "Oh no, that's really good," even though I didn't remember it. So something in my brain told me that this was good. So I guess the expectation is that it's just that, just right at the good level,
at the good mark. Well, it's 2 hours long. It's rated R. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I changed the movie that I was going to pick at least 4 times. I'm sure that we'll get around to some of the movies that I had on my list, but they didn't feel appropriate for my first pick. So, without further ado, I think we're going to sit back and watch The Host.
The Host.
The Host.
The hosts are going to watch The Host.
The hosts are going to watch The Host. That's what you come to Absurdist Asylum for. Yep.
Are you glad you clicked on us now, you jerks? You damn jerks.
We'll be right back.
We really want this show.
Hey, welcome to Absurdist Asylum. Thanks for joining us at Absurdist Asylum. This is episode number 14, titled The Host Watch The Host. Be sure to like and follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Absurdist Asylum, and email us any questions or comments at absurdasylum@gmail.com. Be sure to listen all the way to the end for the Korean punk band Sucks Stuff and their song Chaos.
Hey, should we do a shot before we start?
Yes,
so, Jeff, what did you think about the movie that you missed, really? What did you have a second opinion, a first opinion?
Well, everything. This is what I've uncovered, by the way, to solve the mystery. Everything I remembered from this movie was within the first 15 minutes. And so I kind of flashed back, and I remember I did have the flu, I turned this on because I was just like, oh my god, turn this on, and I shut it off after like the 15-minute mark because I remember thinking that it was too good to watch in my current sickly state where I might fall asleep or die or whatever.
So one you are for the repressed memory theory, hashtag the keepers, where people can recover repressed memories by seeing things that would link them to those, and two, you like the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I also remember too when it first came out, like why, because it's kind of weird that it took me so long to see this when you think about like the stuff that I like and this movie, and I like, oh Jesus, I'm a big fan of like Korean cinema in the first place, so I don't really. I was wondering like why the fuck did it take me so long to watch this, and I remember it was because I was kind of going through like an anti CGI phase, like more than I typically am. Like I remember just not watching anything like that had a CGI monster because it was like either practical effects or GTFO, bruh. Yeah, but anyway, no, I thought it was awesome. There's lots of great stuff in here. It was almost, if you want to like tie it into our show, it is the antithesis of 50 Shades of Grey, because where 50 Shades of Grey is a movie that desperately needed characterizations that didn't happen, this movie didn't need characterizations, and yet it did, and there was lots of like really well done character drama in here. Who would have thought that would be in a movie called The Host about a mutated fish?
So let me pause you for a second, and when you say that, it brings to mind that for 50 Shades of Grey, I haven't shown them to anybody, I still own them, 5 pages of notes to kind of like make what I had to say relevant, because I didn't give a fuck about the movie, and the movie didn't give a fuck about me not giving a fuck about it. But this movie, I took a page and a half of notes, and like the half of the first page was the notes that were my like intro notes, and and all of my notes was like, this character is this character is this character is that, and I stopped taking notes for the most part because I didn't need it. Like this. Right. Despite the fact that this movie was not in English, the trailer was absolutely misleading.
Right.
I will post the trailer that I watched, and it was I literally watched it 2 times to make sure that it was all in English, and yep, it was the 2 scenes from the movie that were
that have English speaking. That doesn't surprise me at all.
But this movie, so I just want to say that the visuals in this movie were, like I talked about the cinematics of 50 Shades of Grey, and the visuals in Big Money Hustlers were not anything special. Yeah,
or not existent.
Anything special. But the visuals in this movie, like, this almost makes me want to watch the ABCs of Death 1 and 2 to see what other relatively unknown directors have to offer, because like this movie was just fun to watch. Like, despite the fact that I had to read subtitles, which is one of the main reasons I stopped taking notes, because I couldn't catch the plot. Right. But like I said, I didn't even have to take notes. So the hardest part about this movie was just the fact that I was ingesting so many fluids and had to fucking, I never knew how many fluids I could ingest while I was watching a 2-hour movie. Fucking Mountain Dew and whiskey and water and fucking bong tokes. What are you gonna do?
I mean, it did
I understand that bong tokes are not a fluid.
Right. I was gonna say, you're not supposed to drink that, Jason.
Dude, I don't.
That's not a funny shaped glass. To piggyback on what you're saying, this is this movie is like directed and shot so well. I mean, is if I said flawlessly, would that be too like douchey to say that it's like flawlessly shot? Because I feel like it kind of is. Like,
well,
it's like fantastic. Like, scenes that it could have been fine with just the uninspired direction that most of these movies have, but there's a very clear look going on here, like a very, very clear just like aesthetic sprinkled out through the entire thing. Like it's kind of like amazing how well that is done.
Well, and I did some research. I'm not going to say a lot because that would be a lie, as to how much money it took to produce this movie, and I came up with nil. But with some of the famous actors that was in this, there was one American actor that was in the first scene, Scott Wilson, who was the American doctor that told the Korean doctor to pour all the stuff down the drain that made the monster in the first place. And they also had another American or English actor that I couldn't quite find his name. But they obviously spent quite a bit of money making this movie because they did a great job of blending the CGI with some of their practical effects. Like, there's the first scene where a monster jumps into a trailer full of people. I don't understand what was happening in the trailer before that because I don't speak Korean or understand the culture, apparently.
Right.
But there's a point where the monster, or there's a bunch of people trying to get out, and the monster is like eviscerating people on the inside, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then the monster busts out, and it looked very flawless when it came to the monster busting out and what how the CGI interacted with the door and such.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because speaking of the CG, like one of the criticisms for this movie has always kind of been like, the CG in places maybe isn't the greatest. Like that's really pretty much everybody's complaint about this. But even in the scenes where maybe it wasn't as like detailed and fluid as it is, it doesn't matter because, like you were saying, it has like a presence, like how it interacts with everything around it. Like each footstep has like an effect to the real world. Like it'll actually, for instance, when it like the first time it comes out, like right at the beginning, and it's like sliding down that hill and everything, like the way it's doing that is done in such a like detailed fashion that it actually seems like you just don't care that maybe the CG is not what you're typically used to in a giant like big spectacle movie. It was never a problem. And then there's other scenes where it looks fantastic anyway, especially for 2006.
Well, yeah, and you say that, and I'm surprised you didn't mention the most notable effect was the splash effects. Like, there's multiple scenes where this monster is splashing into the water, and it looks like there's a big creature splashing into the water. There was one scene where I saw the direction of the water splash, that it did not splash the way that it would have the monster was going in.
Right. Yeah, I guess I mean, I don't fully understand how like the scope of how difficult it is to animate certain things in CGI, but I am told by many that water and things like that are just like sometimes impossible to do. It's that and the human face, interestingly enough, are like the ones that I hear like the most treacherous, and they never actually look right. It's like what they call the uncanny valley effect happens all the time.
Yeah, and so while I want to emphasize that the water effects were amazing.
Yeah.
I'm watching the movie on mute right now, and the scene pops up where they're at the little girl who was kidnapped by the monster's supposed funeral, and they're wailing and mourning like the world is ending, like they're
Yeah.
falling on the floor, and I feel like it was a critique of how, because this is a South Korean movie, how North Korea was forced to wail and moan for Kim Jong-il's funeral, and like you were arrested if you didn't wail and mourn enough. Like if you didn't look like you were enough mourning, you were arrested for treason because you obviously didn't love the great leader enough. And I feel like that was a beautiful and funny critique of their northern brethren.
I didn't pick up on that at all. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's funny, and I think that I like kind of called on the fact that I wasn't quite sure who the archer was because I was taking notes, obviously.
Right.
And once I realized that it was the sister, I absolutely knew that was going to come into play.
Yeah, for sure.
In the end, but
it came into play in a much better way than I had thought.
Oh, absolutely!
Honestly.
I cheered at the end, but we're not quite getting there yet. The part about this movie that like I said, you heard me. I was asking if this was an English movie. The trailer was misleading. I felt that the fact that it was Korean and subtitled, one, made me pay attention to the movie a lot more than I would have, and two, kind of gave an insight into a life that I don't have, which, I mean, is a very simple thing to say, but just to kind of see some of the interactions with the family and things like that.
Yeah.
It kind of created, and I love the fact that they tried to make it funny.
Yeah. And there's definitely a lot of parts where it was just like hilarious, but also didn't it didn't ever cross into like a parody or like a like any sort of, not even like a Shaun of the Dead level of comedy. Like it was more, I mean, you know, maybe some of that stuff is lost in translation, but I just thought it was more of, I mean, I don't know if I'd say subtle, but it was just understated. It was more understated than it was made out to be, which I like personally, because I don't necessarily love like the in your face, we're making jokes now kind of thing in these movies. So that was a very welcome addition, I would say.
Yeah, no, they weren't trying to make this movie a comedy, but they definitely, it wasn't too serious like one of my criteria for my movie was. I'm actually quite pleased when it comes to my pick.
You did kind of pick something that I mean, it pretty much filled all of your requirements that you had put forth with it. So I guess good job, you prick.
Well, I appreciate it, but so I guess now we're gonna get into spoiler territory. There was, if Jeff would stop fucking with bags and shit.
I don't even know what that was. That wasn't a bag. My whole life is not consumed by bags.
Anyways, so there was like some strange connection between Dang Yu. I thought he was the little girl's brother at first, but I came to realize that he was her father. There was some psychic connection between same. Okay, there was some psychic connection between him and the monster / the daughter / I don't know. That was like he fed her with water at one point, like because they imagined her eating with them, which was strange. Did you catch that? Did you know what was
Well,
going on there?
I remember thinking that stuff was really weird, but I guess I didn't like make the connection that that's what was happening, which makes me feel kind of dumb because I guess it was pretty in your face, but I didn't make that connection at all. I just thought, oh, this is kind of a weird thing that you're doing, and then it just like moved on.
Yeah, it seemed to me as if they were feeding her because they were literally feeding her.
Right, feeding her in the
like
thing.
They imagined that they were feeding her, and then she drank the water that was dripping down from the sewer.
Yeah, the sewer water.
And she didn't die from starvation. That was my thinking in that.
I mean, I guess I don't. Again, that was just something where when I like the scene with them feeding her, I thought was weird as shit because I was just like, what the fuck is like what? And then when she was just there, I thought, wait a minute, like I thought I had missed something. Like I was like, did I like? What is it with this movie and me not like remembering shit? Like,
well, I literally thought for a second that I missed something too, and then I realized that she was in the sewer. And then speaking of this movie throwing me for a loop, there was a scene with a little kid and a brother that looked like it was the little girl, Sung Yi, or do you remember her name? I don't remember her name. It was fucking terrible.
Sun Young or something.
Something like that. The little girl, it looked like she was rescued on her way out, but then the dude that was rescuing her got killed, and it turns out that it wasn't her. It was a little boy that she helped out while he was captured by the monster, and his bigger brother got killed.
Yeah.
Did that throw you for a loop too?
I mean, for a split second. And then I felt like, I was like, does that mean I'm a racist? Because I can't keep track of who's who. But I think it's just the movie.
No, I'm pretty sure that was deliberate because that was the only person I couldn't keep track of. Because I was like, wait a second, is that the girl that just escaped? Like, yeah. But,
yeah.
So that little old boy that we confused for the girl that was the main character turned out to be alive after the monster captured it, same as the little girl, where everybody else was dead or dissolved in the stomach acid, where the regular dead people were waiting to be dissolved in the stomach acid.
Yeah.
And so do you think that it was the young age of the children that kept them from being just plain old dead?
That's what I thought. I was like thinking again, either that I missed something or that they were going to explain it later, but I assumed it was something with the age, like maybe the way that it, like the nutrients or whatever that it gets from dissolving people in its stomach. Maybe it like it knows it's not going to get as many until they're like grown, and maybe it doesn't understand that they're not really going to grow in a sewer. Like maybe it just thinks it's incubating them. But
they're not going to grow unless they get fed by magic.
Right, the magic
water.
Psychic connections.
Yeah, magic psychic water.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, and there was a lot of times where the movie deliberately wanted you to think that these children got eaten. There was at least two times when the movie wanted you to think that these children got eaten.
Yes.
And I feel misled by the trailer and the movie at this point now. Just
overall.
I mean, I mean, if they, how many times did they try and trick us? That was the
I know it was quite a bit. There were lots of like cutaways, like lots of like, oh, they're about to be eaten, and then all of a sudden,
yeah, exactly. The monster's got his mouth open, and all right. Well, I'll give him this. We're already past the spoilers point. The one time where the monster had his mouth open, and then it went to the final scene. The father had to literally pull his daughter out of the monster's mouth.
Yeah.
You sound like you got off on that.
Is that what I sound like? That was not. Oh God, I need to reevaluate how I react to things.
Your mouth noises.
Oh God, I got them mixed up again. that was supposed to be the one for shock and awe.
In agreement, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe you should just like go see a therapist, like we talked about.
Sometimes when I see like really sad things, it sounds like I'm ejaculating.
Oh wow. Anyways, so it turns out in this movie that the little girl that while we had a Logan episode that nobody watched, magical shit. And we talked about the little girl actress in that movie, right. But the little girl actress in this movie was actually quite great as well.
Yes. Yes, she was.
While I will not pronounce her name because I do not want to fucking butcher it, IMDb exists, and the host 2006, but she does not make it to the end of this movie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I rewound it twice because I was like, wait a minute, no, because I was like, I missed the thing again, and then I rewind it, and then I was like, is she fucking dead?
Yep.
Like, are they saying she's
like doornails and
dead?
Shit.
Yeah, I was like, and then it gets to the like right after that when it's showing in the in their little like hut
thing.
Little
shop.
And it shows the
like
picture.
A little convenience store / restaurant.
And which is
right
kind
on
of an
the
awesome
water,
setup.
Which is why it fucking they're like right in the middle of this shit when the monster pops up out of the water.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty sweet setup. I hope they actually have that kind of thing in South Korea because that's awesome.
They absolutely do. Why would that be a lie?
That is an excellent question. I don't know.
Watch Anthony Bourdain or some shit, you uncultured motherfucker.
I will not. I absolutely will not do anything close to that.
All right. Anyways, your point is.
Yeah. When I saw that, I thought like, when they were showing the pictures of like their wanted poster and everything else, and it showed like the picture of the like the main guy and his daughter. And he still had his like blonde or whatever hair thing he had going on, his like bleached hair. And then it showed a picture. Didn't it show a picture of the little girl with the ant, like the archer girl? Wasn't that what I saw? Yeah.
Yeah. And next to her.
Yeah. And so I saw
two pictures, separate pictures.
Yeah. And so I saw that, and I was like, my mind like went to, oh, okay, so she's living with her now. All right. And then the credits happened, and then I was like, wait a minute. And I rewound it again because I was like, are you saying she's actually dead? Like there's nothing. There's nothing. It's not really like, it doesn't have a happy ending. It has a,
did this movie break your heart, Jeff?
I wouldn't say that. Let's not go crazy. But
I said that this movie might be heartwarming. That was the wrong wording. Heartwarming, it was not, but it did kind of like tug at your heartstrings a little bit here and there, because there was like in the very first bit, the little girl was like super upset because her uncle didn't come to like what I assume was like career day for your uncle and shit.
Or no, he did. He was just drunk.
Oh, he did come, but he was drunk. Oh, I thought
Yeah,
he
the
didn't
dad
come
didn't
because he
go
was
because
drunk.
his career is embarrassing, and the uncle went, but he smelled like alcohol.
I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that explains that, which was sad. And let's take a drink to not showing up to career day drunk.
Yeah, the most common of toasts.
I definitely drank to that.
Can we? I want to mention, because I was thinking this the entire time, and I know this is 100% intentional, but like the protagonist, if we consider the father the main protagonist, it is the most. He's the most inept protagonist I've seen in a very long time. And again, I know that's intentional. This is not like a slight against the movie. I'm just stating a fact. Like, oh my god!
You're
like the part
right.
with the dad, I was like, oh my god!
With the
like,
grandpa or the
yeah.
dad?
I'm sorry, the grandpa. Yeah.
Where
I was
died?
like, man. Yeah, I was like, this dude sucks.
Oh yeah, the grandpa
like,
died. I
this
called that
dude
shit. I was like,
sucks.
oh, he was like, I'm gonna take you on with a one bullet, and I was like, oh, grandpa's dead, or motherfucker.
Yeah, but I didn't expect him to die because his son can't count.
Well, also,
like what a shit way.
Grandpa got his head smashed into the ground, like not politely at all.
Oh yeah.
This was not like okay, let's give this guy some honor while he dies. He got smashed.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know how to describe that. Like bam.
It's like he got hit by a truck. Just run over by a truck.
He didn't get hit by a truck. He got his head smashed on some motherfucking concrete. But so you're absolutely right. This guy was rather inept, and he got luckier than a son of a bitch. And
yeah.
In the end, when he got this monster in the fucking mouth with the whatever pipe he just happened to find, they have that, like, I don't want to call it generic because I have my reasons, but there's that shot where the foot is up on its end and it's sliding backwards in some gravel. That's in every kung fu movie ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad at it because it's a great movie and they only used it once, and it's like, I just think that I just find it funny that that's a universal thing. Maybe not universal, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's probably that's also probably intentional though. Like they're probably like, oh, we'll do what I'm sure it originated somewhere, and like it's some sort of it's the same thing as like a Quentin Tarantino trunk shot. Like it's like a staple for whatever reason.
Yeah, this movie
of
was
a genre.
Super spoofy.
Yeah, my favorite character, which that's always the mark of a good movie, is when you can come away from it having like a favorite character that you feel like is strong enough to where if you took them out of the movie and placed them in a different movie, you would know how they would react, if that makes sense. But the alcoholic uncle is fantastic.
Yes.
He was awesome.
And what does he do in your different movie?
Well, I mean, like, what movie is he going into? Like, it would be a lot different if it was like you could put him in Die Hard. Or...
I feel like he super stopped drinking right as it was relevant, except for, well, he found his drunk buddy who came through in the clutch. Like, let's talk about an all-star player.
Yeah.
Came through in the clutch, his drunk buddy, where he, and this is where archery comes back into the play of it. He fucking pours gasoline over the fucking creature in the very final scene.
Yeah.
And the drunk uncle fucking fails on the Molotov cocktail, which has all sorts of personal ramifications I'm not going to talk about right now. But he fails on the Molotov cocktail, and then the fucking archery bronze medalist comes through in the clutch and fucking picks up the smoldering ember of whatever it was, and lights the son of a bitch on fire like it was fucking 4th of July in America. And speaking of America, this movie was not quiet about like spoofing on South Korea's American influence.
Yeah, for sure. Which was good.
Yeah, it was refreshing, and this movie, I don't quite understand where the movie takes place in South Korea, as far as like the culture. Like, is this an American movie made in South Korea, or is this a South Korean movie made for Americans? I'm not quite sure. But I hope that people in South Korea have seen a lot of this, and this is like popular. And I'm sure that if anybody's listening, they'll tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, from my understanding, because when this came out, this movie was huge. And from my understanding, it was it's definitely like full Korean production, but it was like made with the intention of like Korean distribution, American distribution, like all over the place. And it was huge in 2006. Like, man, like it was everywhere. I could not listen to any sort of like movie review thing without them talking about the host. And again, my dumb ass was anti CGI to the max at that point. So I was just like, whatever. But it's like
2006 was your sophomore year?
I was 16. That's all I know.
Interesting. I'm surprised I never heard about it until now.
Yeah, because well, you know what, though? It, like, for some reason, I remember it coming out here later. Like, I heard about it, but maybe it came out here in, like, 2008. Because I remember when I was at the old Blockbuster, if you guys remember that. When I
worked for a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah, when I worked for Blockbuster, I remember seeing that a lot there in the new release section and thinking that was weird because I was like, didn't that come out like 2 years ago? But it was a new release at the time, and people would rent it all the time and be fairly positive about it, except for the people that were like, oh, yeah, can I get a refund because I had to read what they were saying? Yeah, didn't pay to read, bro. This is a true story. True story.
Well, people suck. You know that. You knew what you signed up for when you applied for a customer service job.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I fully did. But one thing I'm curious, and I mean, if in the off chance somebody that knows this it listens to this, so probably so we're in 2017, so probably 5 or 6 years ago, they released a special effects test for The Host 2. I remember seeing it, and it took place on a road, I think. Yeah, it was like a road. There was a family. It was a whole thing. Like they had they showed the scene without any CGI, and then they showed it with CGI, so you could see how they filmed it versus what CGI was done to it. But to this day, we do not have a Host 2. And right before we actually watched it, like when I found out this is what you were wanting to watch, I remembered that, and I was trying to find out like what happened to that, because it's been 5 to 6 years at this point. And I can't find anything, like no concrete answer about this. The special effects test is still on YouTube.
I see the
I can't find
2 Horror 2013 on YouTube.
Yeah. Also, make sure that when you're looking up The Host 2, it's not telling you about the Stephanie Meyer
No,
host.
I definitely see the monster. I'm pretty sure I see the test you see, but I also see an article that says The Host 2, 2 reasons a sequel movie is not likely.
That was, I clicked on, if it's the one I'm thinking of, I clicked on that, and it was the Stephenie Meyer one.
Yeah, you're probably correct. Anyways, if the host 2 is out there, it is on the Absurdist Asylum playlist.
Yeah, I was curious at the time, but I'm like way more curious now. Like, and I looked up to see what the director was doing, and the host 2 is not listed, so I'm just very curious. Like,
did you tweet him?
I did not. I think I've sent out a total of like 4 tweets in my life.
At gold-n-showers.
That would be my Twitter.
Underscores, I'm sorry.
Underscore, yeah. I remember I tweeted the Insane Clown Posse and said, "Can you guys use this as an album cover?" And it was Violent J's head on a rooster that had just laid an egg, and it said "Hatchet." and then I sent Shaggy 2 Dope's head on the Pope, and it said Shaggy 2 Dope.
Well, you know why they turned that down?
Or Shaggy 2
because
Pope.
Guy Fieri does not like eggs. So
that is a very valid point. And then I think I tweeted Simon Barrett, who's a writer, and he liked my tweet, and I was like, oh cool, I can die happy now. Oh, and I tweeted the movie Crypt, so Ethan Embry would answer my question.
Anyways.
Yeah, so really what I wanted to stress is that 50% of my tweets have been to the Insane Clown Posse. Anyway,
good night.
Oh.